Hi, I'm Liz Cully, and welcome to a special episode of Cool, Cool, Cool. In this series of episodes, I chat with cool people about parenthood. From my fears of getting pregnant to selecting a donor to how to juggle a career and a family, we talk about it all, and nothing is off limits. I was looking for a podcast that represented more of what I experience in the world, and I couldn't find it, so naturally, I decided to make it myself. So, welcome to, I guess, an adult version of Cool, Cool, Cool. If doctor's appointments and trying to navigate what your insurance will actually cover when it comes to fertility isn't a job in it and of itself, then figuring out what you're supposed to eat and what you're supposed to do and what supplements you're supposed to take before you get pregnant or as you are trying to get pregnant is incredibly intense and also seems like a job. I won't mention the brand, but like almost a year ago, I started to take prenatal vitamins. And they were gross. I was literally burping a lethal combo of mint and fishy omegas, and I couldn't do it. And I stopped pretty quickly. The only pill that I have yet to have an issue with swallowing is my antidepressant. And I pop that motherfucker the first thing in the morning after I brush my teeth. Taking like 1,000,000 horse pills a day is just it's not for me. I did love a Flintstone vitamin though, and I would eat a bunch of them until my stomach hurt. But unfortunately, it is not 1991. I've been a Fab 4 smoothie freak since I noticed my idol, Chelsea Handler, posting about it, I think like right before the pandemic. If you aren't from LA, you might be saying to yourself, what the fuck is Liz talking about? Is that an Erewhon smoothie? No. The Fab 4 smoothie was created by nutritionalist to the stars, Kelly LeVeque. She has a very impressive podcast. I love her line of protein powders, and she just seems like a very lovely, smart, functional medicine, holistic nutritionist gal. And if you're listening, Kelly, please come on the podcast. I think I noticed the WeNatal prenatal vitamins because she was posting about them. That I was trying to figure out how I even came across them, but I believe this is how it all happened. If I remember correctly, she was talking about a prenatal vitamin that she was on the board of with Dr. Mark Hyman. If that name sounds familiar to you, that is because he is like legit, probably the most famous functional medicine doctor in the United States. He is a 15 times New York bestseller. He's on Dr. Oz all the time. And he and Kelly advised two women, two besties who live in LA, Ronit and Vida, on a new prenatal vitamin. These are very different than a lot of the things on the market. They are for not only just women, but also for men, which we will talk a lot about on this episode. Vida and Ronit were work besties that turned into lifelong besties, as it usually happens while working at Nike, who both went through some fertility issues and they wanted something more. They wanted something different. They wanted a really potent vitamin. And so they took it into their own hands and they created WeNatal. This is not a sponsored podcast by WeNatal. I will tell you that I just actually really love the product. It does not make me want to barf. I love how sustainable they are. I love the packaging it comes in. I think it's a good price point. All the things my doctor told me that I should be taking are in those vitamins. And the only thing that's not in those vitamins we do discuss. And Ronit explains to me why, which I love. These women are so great and so smart. And it was really great to have them on the show. Before we get started, I just want to take a second and say thank you. If this is the first time you're ever listening to me, welcome. If you are a longtime listener, thank you. And if you are somebody who just is liking this fertility and parenting series, thank you. I really had a hunch that this was something I needed to do, and sharing, my story and meeting all of these different people who are either experts or going through similar things that I'm going through or not, or can give me some advice, has just been really cathartic. I also feel like I'm creating my own community, which has felt amazing. So enjoy this episode. And if you need some vitamins, now you know where to go. I'm so happy to have you both on the show. I'm like I found you, or you found, I don't know how I found, like somehow we found each other. That's why I love the internet. It is, first, we'll obviously talk about the supplements that you both created, but it's like supplements alone are an exhaustive, scary thing when you're even thinking about getting pregnant, whether you're a woman. I also love that you have a product for men, which I really want to get into, because I think there's a lot of pressure on women, like how many vitamins you need to take, you know what I mean? But like if you are a heterosexual couple and you're both going into this, it's great to consider both people. And I have a million questions because it's a never-ending cyclone of information and I can't tell what's right. It's like, I feel like I'm just in the Erewhon vitamin like section and no one knows what the fuck they're talking about. And they keep just telling me to buy a smoothie. Like, that's like where I'm at. And oh, by the way, I'm a sucker. I'm like, oh yeah, I will buy that $25 smoothie. That'll work. But that's like all they're aware. That's all they know.
Totally.
But I want to take it back. You guys met at work, right?
Yep.
Like work besties.
Yep. Actually, very young in our corporate career, we were single ladies in LA. We met at Nike at our corporate careers, both in the marketing and brand and business world. Quickly became best friends, went through the fun of horrible dating in LA.
Oh my God.
That's a whole nother podcast that we can get into. But like literally went through our 20s and 30s together, really like climbing up the corporate ladder. That's not easy. And having a lot of life adventures together. We met our now husbands around the same time. So started dating. We got married a week apart. I actually went to her wedding on my honeymoon. So it was incredible.
You could, best friends working together, you couldn't plan a little bit of a break in between your wedding.
It just happened. It was, I know.
You were both at attending?
No, I actually FaceTimed into her wedding.
I know.
I knew something was going to happen.
Because I got married in Israel.
Okay.
And I had to be there well before my wedding.
Oh yeah, of course.
So yes.
Still a sensitive topic. So
I know
we'll move past that.
One of my my very dear friends, she actually designed my wedding dress and didn't come to my wedding.
Ooh. Happens. Everyone's well-intentioned.
It happens. And also like weddings, like I'm sure now that you guys are like parents, business women, like you have a business, you have a lot going on. You're like, who gives a shit about a wedding?
Yeah.
I mean, weddings are great and they're wonderful. And I think it's a special time, but we put a lot of pressure on weddings.
A lot.
And it's one night or day or whatever.
Or
like,
weekend.
For the amount of planning and stress and money. Like we actually have a lot of analogies to that. We hope most people prepare for their babies the way they do prepare for the weddings. Normally having babies is just like, oops, we're pregnant, or yeah, we'll consider trying. But like people are not doing everything they can to put their best foot forward and step up their game. The way you do, get the facials and eat healthy before your wedding.
That's actually a really great point. I was fighting weight. I was working out with the NBA and Usher.
Yeah.
No, I'm not kidding. Like literally I was working out with Usher and all these guys from like the NFL and the NBA for my wedding. But I was also like borderline starvation diet. Like I was out of control.
100%. Same here. But you do everything to fit into that wedding dress to look amazing that night. But then when it comes to having a baby, people are like, okay, let's have sex. And it's like,
that's a great point. That's like actually like done with the podcast. Like you guys, we're all idiots. What are we doing here? That's a very good point. Yeah. And we're both equally as stressed, I guess, about it or not. But yeah, people aren't preparing like they are. That's like, oh my God, put it on a billboard. I want to see it on La Cienega.
Let's do it.
Fucking train for a baby like you train for a wedding.
100%.
These little girls in West Hollywood, they're going to be shook. You're welcome. Talk about branding and marketing. Done. I mean, it is so true. Like, God, I just spent so much time preparing for that day. The irony is that my dress was even too big. I didn't do a final fitting, which was a huge mistake. And it didn't fit right. It was like
too much weight.
Lost too much weight.
Oh my God.
Okay. So you FaceTimed in from Israel for your wedding. You guys were like besties. You get married, and then I guess it's that natural, like, are we going to have a kid or not?
Totally around the same time. We didn't really ever talk or plan it, right? A couple of years into our marriages, Ronit was pregnant before me. I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, best friends. You know, I kind of like got on the bandwagon, like, I have to get pregnant. Let's do this. Maternity leaves around the same time. Like all the things that you dream about, your kids being friends. So I actually did get pregnant, I'd say about 6 to 8 months after she was well into her pregnancy. and totally played out the dreams, right? That I was like, we can have kids around the same time. And the most traumatic thing happened actually the day of her delivery. I miscarried.
Ugh,
And it was very tragic. I was well past the first trimester. So that's typically the point where you tell everybody and you start to get your head around, I could be public, it's safer.
Right.
And it was heart-wrenching to say the least. I didn't really know any better at the time, but my OB is just like, it just happens. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can change. I was just mortified. I was like, is there anything I should do differently? My husband, and it was very dismissive. It was like, nope, just keep trying. You're lucky you even got pregnant kind of thing. I also had a very stressful job. Like most of us, we're all having kids later in life. So for the 6 months after that, I straight went into like this blame game on everything I did, what I ate, what I drank, the workout I did. Was it the stress at work? Like, it was a pretty dark time. And, I talked a little bit recently on social media about like the juxt of like being so happy for my best friend and at the same time going through such a dark loss. Like it's a very conflicting place to be. And moving on, she helped me because at the time she left Nike and she worked for Dr. Mark Hyman, and she was working alongside one of the best functional medicine practitioners.
Love him. We all know him on the interwebs. We see him. We love Dr. Mark Hyman.
I didn't think anything different, but she's like, have you checked your thyroid? Have you done this? Have you done that? It didn't even dawn on me. The doctors didn't check any of it. And I was like, I have no idea. I went on to do all the things she told me to do. And I found out I have Hashimoto's, I have thyroid, autoimmune issues going on.
Yeah.
All kinds of things. I was not eating the proper way for my,
Why also don't, so I have a very close friend who finally just got diagnosed with Hashimoto's. Why is it the doctors like almost refuse? She had been trying to advocate for, you know what I mean? Like she was like, I am not well, you guys. I am not well. She'd gained a ton of weight. She's like, something's not right. Her what is that? Like,
I mean, I think doctors are well intended, but they look at the ranges, the conventional ranges, which is averages across the board of like sick people and healthy people. So that average is not a good average. You have to look at optimal lab ranges, not just,
averages.
And I think a lot of times as women in the medical system, we're dismissed for saying, I'm tired, I'm overweight, it's just aging, you're just getting old, or whatever it is. And we're big on just advocating for yourself, pushing doctors and telling them, I want to look at my thyroid labs and I want a full thyroid panel, because a lot of times doctors will just run one number, TSH. That's not enough to look at your whole profile. It's not enough to look at if it's an autoimmune disease. So it's very important for every woman and honestly every person to advocate for themselves within the medical system, because doctors care, but they just are too busy to look at you as a whole person. So,
and we have all these, it's like we're at I think the lowest we've ever had for general practice, like general MDs, right? Like, you know how you would go to like your regular doctor for all, like everything is a specialist now. I was listening to NPR and it's like the like family medicine, it's like at the lowest it's ever been. And it sucks because I remember having one doctor who like knew you your whole life and like knew your pain. And that's really difficult to find. I mean, I have lived in LA for 12 years and I have only really gone to the dentist and my gynecologist and now fertility doctors and an acupuncturist and a Botox person and my hair person and a facialist and a masseuse.
Yeah.
And those are the
I would say
practitioners I go to.
Hair person and masseuse probably knows you better than the doctors because we're bouncing around to all the different ones.
And nails. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Belle. Jesus Christ. I apologize. That is crazy that I just did that to you. We have like such an intense relationship of 11 years. Yeah, they know me better.
Yeah.
It's so important though for like your audience to know that they should at least find an OB early on, even if they're not trying to have a baby soon, even if they're not in a relationship, find an OB that you click with, that you like, because you want to build that relationship with that person well in advance of having a baby. And it's important to know that that person will run labs for you if you ask them to. They don't have to be like super holistic and, do all these things for you. But at least if they're an open-minded doctor and you're looking for that type of care, it's important to establish that relationship in advance.
Yeah. My gynecologist is the most gangster woman that has ever existed. She wasn't taking new patients. I saw her at Ron Burkle's house this is like such a weird story, at a fundraiser for the LGBTQ Center. And she was one of the main doctors that set up she is on the board for medicine, et cetera there. And I knew of her and I'm like, she started the women's medical group in Santa Monica, which is like iconic. Eileen Chaikin, who did the L Word, did a whole documentary on them in like the early 90s. It was the first all-female practice here in Los Angeles. Like, Dr. Knox is the best, but she retired. And I have never cried harder in my life, but I was throwing a fundraiser and a friend of a friend was like, oh, I know Dr. Knox. And I'm like, will you please invite her? I'll do anything to have her here. And she came and she's out of retirement.
Oh.
And she's
came
back. And she's amazing, but she won't deliver the baby. That's the other thing people don't know. You really need to ask the questions if somebody will deliver.
Right.
Because now I'm sort of like, well, I still want you to do my like women's women's annual?
Yeah.
I don't know. My coffee hasn't hit it.
It's
dying.
not enough.
Whatever. I know I'm like, but I only can have one coffee a day.
Yeah, I remember those days.
But she's back, but now she doesn't deliver. And that's kind of tricky too. So you do have to ask all those questions pretty early.
So we'll have to find you a good doctor that's gangster that can deliver.
I know.
That future
I
baby.
need that though.
We'll find you someone good.
I've had great male. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I cut you off.
No,
See, this
okay.
is the problem. This is like the longest ever. This was your first child, correct?
Yes.
My first child.
You were going through.
She helped me diagnose my own issues. Back to being an advocate for yourself. You know your body best.
Right.
Do what you need to do. Like, don't take no for an answer if you feel things are off. And so I did the work. I had a healthy baby girl about 1.5 years after her first.
They're still in the same age
Oh my God,
range.
they're besties.
They're besties
They're
now.
besties.
So that dream came out. And then fast forward to 2020, COVID hit, whatever. We had miscarriages a week apart, not even knowing the other one was
You guys
trying.
both did.
We were trying for our seconds. We didn't even know the other one was necessarily trying. We had miscarriages a week apart. So obviously I kind of just took it as like, they told me this just happens. This sucks. It happened again. I was obviously horrified, but I had a little one at home. So you can't like dwell as much because you're just like, I have to keep moving. I have a little one to take care of. Ronit, she wasn't willing to take that no as an answer.
It was my first miscarriage. And honestly, I was shocked that I had a miscarriage. I was 41 at the time. And I really never thought that I can have a miscarriage. Didn't even occur to me that it could happen, even though I was quote unquote advanced maternal age or geriatric pregnancy.
I think you're
worse
geriatric after 35.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Like,
which
get
is
fucked.
an insane.
What is that even? Like, get out of here. I mean, I don't know if you saw this on my reel with Sarah Fraser, but I like got into it with a psychotic woman from Florida who was like trolling me. And I'm like, bitch, she's like, well, it's really sad and pathetic. The feminist movement has pushed women into these like geriatric pregnancies. I was like, listen, right here, miss. Like, but they've got to change that link. Can they change that
100%.
language? Is
And I will say
It is
so
toxic.
Ridiculous.
We can get into all of it, and age is for sure a factor in fertility, but it's not the only factor. There are women in their 40s that are healthier than and have better eggs than women in their 20s. So let's talk about the fact that like lifestyle is the number one most important thing when it comes to your fertility. But in my case, so when I had this miscarriage, I was like, what is going on? I was doing all the things. I was working in the functional medicine space. I've, had years of eliminating plastic from my life and eating organic food and exercising. And my doctor just said, it's your age. It's there's nothing you could do. Just keep trying. And I didn't want to just keep trying because it was literally the most traumatic thing that happened to me in my entire life. And so I started to do research on how to improve egg quality. And I started to read this book called It Starts With the Egg by Rebecca Fett. Excellent book on how to improve your egg quality. And the last chapter of the book was about sperm quality. And the biggest aha that I had was that sperm quality impacts 50% of miscarriages. And sperm quality impacts 50% of infertility. And yet nobody is talking about sperm. And as women, we carry the burden of fertility. I legit thought, okay, I guess I am over 40. I guess I am stressed. It's me, it's my eggs. But it never dawned on me that it could be my husband. And when I called Vida is actually when I learned the craziest stat that men have the ability to create a new batch of sperm every 2 to 3 months. There's a process called spermatogenesis. So the sperm that's in your man today was created 70 plus days ago. And as a result, even if they have bad sperm quality in 2 to 3 months, they can have really good sperm quality if they take antioxidants. And so research, hundreds of studies out there show that men that take antioxidants have 4 times of a higher chance of getting their partner pregnant. So
what? No one talks about this.
I call Vida and I'm like, there are no prenatals on the market for men. We need to create a prenatal for men. And every single man out there needs to be on a prenatal so their partner doesn't experience a miscarriage. So, and we're talking about sperm donors. All those men should be on a prenatal.
No, I'm literally listening here. And even though I love our sperm donor, I'm like, ooh, I wish he was on antioxidants. I'm like, hope you're eating your goji berries or whatever.
Exactly.
Having your acai bowl, brother. But but seriously, you should partner with all of these. Seattle Sperm Bank, thank you so much for my sperm. You should partner with them all and give them all antioxidants. I mean, why not?
100%. And that was one of our biggest ahas. And that's what led us from working in just, brand marketing careers. And we always thought we wanted to do something. We never in a million years thought that we'd be talking about sperm and egg quality on a daily basis. And we're just so passionate about the topic, about the term preconception, pre-pregnancy, trimester 0. This is the most important time in your life because it creates a blueprint and a foundation for your baby. And I would argue that it's probably even more what you do in this preconception timeframe is probably more important than even what you do when you're pregnant.
So if for me, there's so much I feel like I could do, but I am on your wonderful products, which I love, which are the only ones that don't make me gag. I shocking twist. Don't like taking pills. I hate it. I'm oh my God. I just don't. I never did as a kid. I'm give me a gummy fucking whatever plastic chewable vitamin C. I don't eat those, but I'm just saying I would be into that.
Yeah.
We talked about CoQ10 a little bit and I want to get more into that. But if you were if someone came to you, and they were I'm 38 years old. I have never been pregnant. There's nothing to say that I couldn't get pregnant, but I want to be as healthy as possible. What would you tell them to do?
I would say that the 100 days before you conceive is the golden time because that's the time that your egg is maturing. Okay. So people think that your eggs get older as you age. Actually, the time frame before you ovulate impacts your egg quality the most. And so I would say you take 3 months before trying and do all the things. And we could talk about what that is. Number one, the easiest thing to do, low-hanging fruit, is take a good quality prenatal. And honestly, we got into the women's prenatal space because we couldn't find a prenatal for us. We were taking a prenatal that had 8 pills a day.
No.
On top of that, we had to add folate. We had to add vitamin D. We had to add iron. So we were taking 8 pills, plus we added 4, 5, 6 more pills. And it wasn't, for me, it was sustainable because I actually am a pill popper, but this one over there couldn't
I would
do it.
throw up. Actually, if I'm being honest with you, listening to you say that is making my stomach turn a little bit. I really have an issue with the pills. Yeah. No. Okay.
And so we wanted to create a prenatal that was good quality. And we could talk about what that is because they are not all created equally, but also sustainable. like that you could take every day. That's part of your life and that you're not dreading every day. And especially once you get pregnant, that first trimester is brutal. So if you can't take pills now, imagine when you're nauseous having to swallow pills.
Sick.
But that's also why the foundation is so important, right? Like if you do everything before, you know you've given the best foundation, you're set up for success.
Okay, so prenatal, what else?
So a prenatal, and then we look at it as adding fertility boosters and removing fertility drainers. These, let's talk about the things that kind of reduce your fertility. When you think about your house, the most toxic places in your house are typically your bathroom and your kitchen. Your bathroom, women put on their bodies so many, products. Yeah. And children are born with so many chemicals in their umbilical cords. So number one thing to do is look at your personal care products and update them slowly. We're not saying like do all this thing, tomorrow, switch everything out, throw out all your Chanel lipstick. Trust me, I love my Chanel products, but there are also amazing brands out there now, super clean brands that are not granola, that are not gonna make you feel like, I don't look as good because I'm using these granola products. Things like perfume are super toxic, like fragrances. So instead of spraying your perfume on your skin, which is the most absorbable organ in your body, spray it on your clothes, put it on your hair if you need that scent, or use an essential oil. Then if you go into your kitchen, which is also full of toxins, plastics, Teflon nonstick pans. There's so many amazing brands out there now that have ceramic, or you can use stainless steel. And then really it's like the food in your kitchen. We talked about going to the farmer's market, eating organic. There's so many toxins in our food supply now. There are also, BPA in our food supply. So much food is coming in plastic. You get takeout from a restaurant, Uber Eats, it comes in plastic and it's hot. So it's like really getting in there. So just being mindful of what you're eating, cooking, trying to eat real food together as a partnership. And all of the things that we're talking about now for you also apply to men.
Yeah.
Because all of these changes, and all of these toxins impact sperm quality. So it's kind of cleaning up your house. The other thing that's an easy one, and we think is like super low hanging fruit, is cleaning up like the air and the water in your house. So drinking out of glass if you can, and then getting like a good...
Who doesn't drink out of glass? I mean, I do. I have like a steel, I think it is, water bottle, which I think is fine. But who's like, I guess it's like plastic.
Well,
Plastic
if you get like
bottles.
Arrowhead water in like plastic jugs, all of those things travel in the heat.
It's so sad. Mountain Spring does not deliver to my house.
Oh, Mountain Valley water.
Mountain Valley water.
Yeah.
That's the number one stunt.
I know. And I used to get that, but I will say Mountain Valley water is also so heavy.
Oh.
It's like 60 pounds.
Oh, you mean the thing. I know, but it's like feels so rich
It's
to have
so
Mountain Valley. I'm
good.
like, yes. They also have a lot of, I've been looking into it. Actually, Whitney Mixter, who was a guest on the show, talking about her fertility journey, even though she went on a water cleanse before. I'm not doing that.
No,
I'm
you need
sorry.
to nourish yourself.
I'm
at this time.
I'm working too hard to not eat.
It's also-
But she
things
had
like that could be a stressor on your body. So you have to be careful you have to do what's right for you. So what's right for someone is not always the same for everybody.
right.
But also things that we're used to, sometimes really hard workouts or cleanses or all that, sometimes can be a stressor if your body's like in shock.
Yeah.
So just consult with your physician, but like there's not one size fits all for everybody.
No, but I think you can get really cool filtration systems that I've been looking
reverse
into.
osmosis for sure. Like if you own your house, definitely like invest in that. And then the other thing is like the air that you're breathing. The indoor air is more toxic than the outdoor air. So doing simple things like opening your windows in your house, going into your house and taking off your shoes, not walking around and putting like toxins all over your house, and getting a good air filter in your house. Those are like basic, easy things that you could do.
Got it.
And then as far as, kind of the things that can like really enhance your fertility and is like in investing in your sleep.
Oh, the sleep thing is like, It's tough, man.
It's real, and I get it. It's we both have Aura rings, so like figuring out a sleep routine that works for you. And a lot of people think that they need to do all of the things, but honestly, we say like sleep over exercise at this time. Like your body needs to rest.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting thing. I think, for me, I've had like being in this industry for so long. I did so much on-camera stuff. It's like the extreme workouts, the crazy elimination diet. Like there is not a diet or a workout that I have not done in my life. Like I've done literally everything. And it's so interesting because 9 months ago when we were really like, okay, we're going to start, I like said, I am never going to fucking Barry's boot camp again.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life. I hate that. I mean, God bless you. Have a great business. Do you? But I hate that shit. I don't want to push around a fucking tire. I don't want to do any of that.
I also don't want to be yelled at when I'm working out.
But
let's talk about that.
But you know what I mean? And I just was like, what is something I've done for so many years that I love that's like not only good for my heart rate, is like, for me, it's Pilates and yoga. I've been practicing for almost 20 years.
Amazing.
That's all I do now. And you know what? I like never skip it because I don't want to, you know what I mean? Things like that where I'm like, I'm moving my body. I'm thinking, I'm breathing.
Yeah.
Like that to me, as I just was like, I don't care if I'm like 10 pounds heavier than I normally am. Like I can't deal.
I mean, the truth is every time I got pregnant, I always gained a little weight. Your body needs to be like a little heavier to sustain a pregnancy. If you have zero body fat,
that's not my problem.
Not my problem either. Your body is going to signal like, okay, this is a time of famine. This is not a time to for conception to happen, and it's not going to happen. So it's very important to do things that nourish you, that, you are the same way as planting a seed. You're not going to just take like any dirt, plant a seed and expect it to like bloom a beautiful plant or strawberries or whatever it is. You're going to nourish that soil. You're going to take care of it. And that's how you have to think about your body. And yeah, I mean, I love intense workouts. I love Barry's boot camp, F45, all of these things. But if I were trying to conceive, I wouldn't do those. They're depleting.
Yeah.
And like, if you if you do it and you feel good and energized afterwards, great. But if you're dead afterwards, that's an indicator that that's a stressor on your body.
Yeah. I don't want to work anymore. I want to just go for walks and do pottery and yoga, and I can't. And that sucks because I'm tired all the fucking time. I'm telling you, we went away recently to go see a friend, and we went to Ojai, and it was this like amazing girls weekend. It was my wife, my friend Morgan, my friend Lizzie. We just like chilled out. Just had a great time. I allegedly took a little bit of mushrooms. It was great. I'm not saying that is something you should do while you're trying to get pregnant, but I have a good month in front of me, so I'm not too worried about it. But it was just like glorious. I'm like, this is it. I wish I could just be in a field in Ojai and just chill out. But unfortunately, you can't. I get that like doing all of these little things is super helpful. You know what I mean? Just to get yourself sort of chill.
100%. And like, we're not escaping the stress of
life,
the modern world.
Yeah.
And so actually with WeNatal, we also created a tool that can help you manage, or like we say like befriend stress, or like kind of manage it. The stress is not going away. So I don't know if you had a chance to try our journal, like our gratitude journal.
I haven't done it yet. Also, I had my year review, which actually went way better than I anticipated with my boss yesterday. But fun thing about me, very terrible at admin, anything filling out. It's like
paperwork.
I'm like really bad, to the point where he was just like, I'm going to kill you. I mean, that's why I need to do the gratitude journal, but I'm like, ooh, I forgot to do it again. What am I grateful for? So, but I like that you guys do that because it slows you down, right? Is that the purpose?
Yes. And listen, it's increasingly stressful to like even think about having kids, get in that mind space. And we get it. All of us are in high pressure jobs, having kids later in life. It's the very real reality that we're living in. So it's one tool. We've actually found a ton of research about the mind, like really playing a big role in your, your body state. And so like if I think we're in very similar boats where we're pretty much running on adrenals on most days. And in like the old school days, it's like fight or flight mode, right? It's like that was made for running or if you're being chased from a bear, which we're not every single day, and it depletes your body. And so I'm going to go back to 1, the gratitude thing, and 2, sleep, because I also have major sleep issues. And I found that it's so underrated. So if you can just do a couple minutes of gratitude a day, it's been proven to like help all the things, same as what you're doing in Pilates, breathing, mind space, going back to gratitude. It's just proven to show benefits and help couples who are trying to conceive and connect you to your partner, which is really a nice thing, and really envision the life and the baby that you want to have. So even on the shittiest of days, if I find a couple things I'm grateful for, it kind of flips my mentality before I go to sleep, rather than chasing all the 50 million things that are still on my to-do list. So just putting it out there, try a few nights.
I'm going to.
It's a couple minutes.
I feel you. It's not easy. I'm not one to like sit down and like write it, but also not to get like super woo-woo with your audience. But in our manifestation journal, there's like sending one loving thought for my child. And we believe that you're already a mom. And
I am. Her name is Ravioli. She's the light of my life. Everybody knows it. She's my dog. She's unhinged, but I love her to death. She's the cutest dog that's ever existed. She looks like a little golden retriever. She's this big. Oh, Ravioli. Yes. Anyway, but yes, I am a mom. But I love. But
talking to your future baby as if they're here, telling them how much you love him or her, and really, like, you know, we can get all like into the spiritual aspect. There's a book called Spirit Babies where, you know, the book talks about how like you have these spirit babies that are here waiting for you. And when the time is right for them to enter the world, they will enter the world through you. So you have to like talk to them. And, you know, we get into like the science of manifestation and really putting out into the universe what you believe you deserve. And so
I would not like an Aquarius. I deserve anything that's not a Virgo. No Virgos, no Aquarius. Are either of you Virgos or Aquariuses?
I knew it. I am a Sag, and you did say that Sages suck. So
I know. I'm so sorry. You're really listening to the show. Okay. What I will say about a Sag, I'll take a Sag over an Aquarius any day. My thing about Sag is they break my heart. I don't know why. My sister, love you, but like you're not listening to this. You've broken my heart. Because she's like so busy. But my first love was a Sagittarius, and he just destroyed me. I don't know. Sagittariuses are hard to like. You guys are very independent people, I feel like.
I can confirm that.
Yep, independent people make for easy babies.
Oh, okay.
So think about it like that, because I have one Sagittarius child. And then I have a Taurus. The Taurus is crazy. I love her so much, but it literally took me 4 years to have another baby after her because this girl destroyed me. And
what are you?
I'm an Aries.
I love Aries.
Pisces, Aries cusp, March 22nd.
And then, happy almost birthday.
Thank you.
And then what are your like?
I have a Pisces and
emotional.
September. I don't even know. September 23rd. The other one, the 6-year-old.
Libra. This is a lesbian podcast, and we know our star signs here.
We love it.
No, but I was kidding. Like, I deserve anything but an Aquarius. Aquariuses are the worst. I've been thinking about it. Like, what would I be okay? You know, no Aquarii. Aquarii? I'm kidding. I like really don't care. If it's healthy, I'll be fine.
Exactly.
100%.
We'll figure it out. Hopefully their rising and their moon is something else.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Then it's like, whatever. But well, and I want to talk a little bit more about the supplement, actually, because when I finally found my when I got off the waiting list for my new doctor, she was great. She was actually the first doctor that had told me to take prenatals, which, you know what I mean? Talking about like nobody else doing anything. They're like, yeah, I mean, I guess if you want. She was like, no, like take full. She was really like, listen, like, I'm not like a pusher on what pills to take, but like these are the ingredients that you need to look for. Look for a high quality one. Like don't like get a shitty, you know what I mean? She's like, but you really should take, I mean, very like clear, like very much also was like, be healthy, exercise. You know what I mean? Like this is why I like, no, she's great. I'm like into her.
Yeah.
Really did a lot of panel testing on me way more than the last place.
Awesome.
Like I was like, all right, Okay.
She's thorough.
She is thorough.
I like that.
But she said to take CoQ10, which is not in your supplement, because I'm like, well, I am on the best supplement and I know it. And then I'm like, wait, fuck, why? Now I got to take another pill. But explain why there is no CoQ10 in
intentionally. Yeah.
WeNatal.
Yeah. So WeNatal is designed to support you pre, during, and postpartum. And CoQ10 has not been tested on pregnancy. And so it's not in our supplement because once you get pregnant, you have to stop taking the CoQ10. And so we recommend people to take the CoQ10 separately. And yes, CoQ10 is an antioxidant. It has a ton of properties that can help improve egg and sperm quality. It's actually in our men's supplement because they take it and, it doesn't matter. They can keep taking it once you get pregnant. But so many nutrients in our prenatal are crucial to support this foundation that we're talking about. And it's such an important time to really build those nutrient reserves because, like we said, once you get pregnant, you're going to be nauseous. You might not crave protein. You might not crave eating vegetables. So you want to make sure that you're building those reserves so that like in your first trimester, if you just want to eat crackers and whatever, okay, I have these reserves. The other thing is there's just so much research on certain nutrients when it comes to pregnancy and fertility. One of them is folate.
Yeah.
And when I say folate, I mean the natural form of folic acid. A lot of people use those terms interchangeably, but we specifically have folate or methylfolate or 5-MTHF in our formula because it's bioavailable, meaning anybody can utilize those nutrients. If you take folic acid, there's a certain amount of people, 40% of them, that cannot convert that folic acid into the bioavailable vitamin. And so it's very
40% is a that's like basically, that's half.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I'll round up. That's half. Yeah.
So it's important to take a prenatal that has folate, and folate supports ovulation. Also, super importantly, once you get pregnant, it supports neural tube, helps prevent neural tube defects with baby. And actually, very interesting research was done on 30 couples. This genetic mutation is called MTHFR. They cannot utilize folic acid and into the bioavailable form. So these 30 couples in the study had 4 years of infertility. They were then both put on folate, the bioavailable version. 13 of those couples conceived naturally. So think about like 4 years of infertility, you put someone on a nutrient and they conceive, 13 of them. And so this is why like we're so passionate about the nutrients, and we can geek out and get into some of the other ones. But, a lot of people are like, oh, supplements, that's just like expensive urine, or you can get it all from your diet.
Food, yeah.
You can't get it all from your diet.
My brother, who, God bless him, is a doctor of nursing. Don't worry, Richard. I won't leave your doctorate out here of anesthesia. And we were in New Zealand. And again, I'm a California kid. I used to live across the street from Erewhon. Like, if I don't feel good, I'm like, yo, I need some vitamins stat. For me personally, it has helped. Last year, Oscars week, I made the grave mistake of going and seeing my friend that has 3 boys under 6.
Oh, no.
Obviously, I got sick.
Yes.
Because all these children is just spreading germs about. I cannot be sick this upcoming week. I can't. Like, there is no whatever. So I went and got an IV, which I know a lot of people think is bullshit. And I went to Erewhon and I got my like elixirs. And you know what?
We're fine.
I was fine. I like pushed through.
Yeah.
So we are in this vitamin shop in Wellington, New Zealand, my brother and I. And I'm like, I need to get some vitamins. I'm exhausted, whatever. And he's like, vitamins are bullshit. And this poor woman was like standing there. I'm like, Richard, stop being such an asshole. This is like what she's selling. It's like going into like, a cheese shop and saying you're lactose intolerant and hate cheese. Like, stop it. You know what I mean? But he's like, you can just eat vegetables. I'm like, I don't know. I don't actually think that's right. I think yes, you can get them from vegetables. You should eat a healthy diet. Both of you have been saying this from, and I think most people these days hopefully know that they should have a balanced diet. But whatever, we'll say it again here on this non-medical podcast. But I do think you need to take extra nutrients.
Yeah,
100%.
My mom used to think that too. My mom's a chemist. She comes from very eat clean, eat the rainbow, and you should be fine. And actually in our grandparents' generation, that was very true. Our foods were more nutrient dense. If you're eating a well-balanced meal, you probably were getting way more nutrients than you are today. So the real situation is that if we're in our grandparents' generation, you eat one orange, it's equivalent to having to eat 8 oranges today to get the same amount of vitamins and minerals.
Just because, I have oranges in my backyard, but I guess those aren't the same. I have to eat 8 of those. They're kind of sour. It's
basically just that our soils are way more depleted than they were a couple generations ago. So even if you're eating clean, our food is just not as nutritious as it was a couple generations ago. So that's why supplements are a good backup insurance. And it's an easy way to ensure you're getting all the things you need to support healthy living.
Yeah. I love that your products that was going to be my main question to you on or off camera. I'm like, when can I take these the whole time? When do I stop? And then really it sounds like, post birth, it's good to be on them. I guess if you're breastfeeding, you would want to stay on them.
But even
right?
if you're not breastfeeding,
just stay on them.
Stay on them,
just take them
for at least a year, because the baby takes so much out of you. There's actually a concept called postpartum depletion. And research shows that women can be depleted for up to 7 years after they give birth. So you really need to
7 years?
7 years. You're depleted. Baby takes everything out of you. And then, you have these low nutrient statuses. Then the baby comes. If you're breastfeeding, that depletes you further. Then if you're not breastfeeding, you're not sleeping, you're dealing with a new baby. It's such an important time to take care of yourself. So I know it's misleading because it's called prenatal, but a prenatal is also a postnatal, and it's so important to
during natal.
prioritize yourself. Exactly.
Something that has been haunting me for 8 months has been AMH.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about it because anybody that's listening now, I got sent some fertility test at home that you prick your finger, which by the way, I don't know. I had to do it twice. It was a whole whatever. And my AMH was under 1. Mm-hmm. They say a lot of fertility, or I had 2 fertility doctors say, if you're at 1, we're feeling good and you're good to go. And I'm like, okay. I have a friend who is 30, just turned 35. Her AMH is 4.3. I'm like, bitch, freeze those
Sell them. Are you kidding?
eggs. I know. I was like, take the egg. Your boyfriend won't commit. Fuck his ass. Freeze those eggs now. No, literally, I'm dead ass. I was like, babe, I'm telling you now. Because I didn't have the money. And also I'm older and the technology for freezing eggs was a lot different.
Yeah.
And I think we can all dwell on the past, but guess what? We're in the here and the now.
Totally.
And I didn't fucking do it. And we need to move on, right? So my AMH, and actually it improved.
Okay.
Because I do weekly acupuncture, which for me, again, this is not a medical podcast. I like acupuncture. It's helped me in a lot of places in my life, especially with stress.
It helps with blood flow.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to conceive, your blood flow to your ovary is super duper important. And actually, there's research that shows that acupuncture helps support IVF, IUI, healthy pregnancies. So actually, before I conceived Emma, my second, I was doing acupuncture 2 to 3 times a week.
Oh, you were doing it that much? I know. I've been doing it once a week since last June, not skipping a week.
It's great.
Yeah.
Which has been great. And I think I'll probably now that we're in the month lead up,
ramp up a little bit.
I probably will. Also, Russell is the best human being on the planet. And if I were to have a child with somebody, I know it would be Russell. So, but that's a whole nother can of worms, legal, blah, blah, blah. I'm relieving him of that duty. He can just be fun Uncle Russell.
Yeah.
But the AMH thing is spooked me because now I was a little bit lower. Now I'm at 0.78. And they're that's normal. I have 13 follicles the last time I looked. It's a lot. You're the numbers game. The
numbers
AMH
game.
It's kind of freaky.
So I just want to tell you and your audience that yes, AMH is one indicator that can determine the success rate of a fertility treatment, assisted reproductive technology. So it's not an indicator of your fertility. And when I was 34, before I met my husband, I was like, you know what? I want to see if I should freeze my eggs. I went to my doctor. I got my AMH tested. You know how much it was? 0.4.
When you were 30, how old?
34. Now, I'm also here to say that I had a baby at 38, a baby at 42, and I got pregnant at 41 with the miscarriage that I had. All naturally, all on my first try. So yes, this is one specific person, but I will say that back when I found out this information, I thought in my head, okay, my mom had my sister when she was older. Back then, she was like 38. And so and I live a super healthy lifestyle. There's no reason why I should worry about this one number. It's a number. And so I decided I'm never going to think about that number. I'm never going to talk about that number. I am fertile and literally had no issues. And by the way, I actually also tested my AMH later in my 40s and it was higher. It was like 0.6. So we're here to say that you can improve your AMH, but also don't freak out about the numbers. They are just numbers and they don't look at the whole body. They don't look at all of the things that we talked about, right? Like your mind, your spirit, your energy, your stress levels, it doesn't look at all of the whole package.
Yeah.
So don't worry about the AMH.
It's easy to get overwhelmed in this world, I think is another like key message. Like control what you can control, one thing at a time.
Well, because that's the thing is like it's the counting game, right?
Yeah.
It's like going to the doctor, kind of race against time, numbers. They're like, how many follicles do you have? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like 13. We feel good about that. And you're like, okay. You know what I mean? It's all these different interesting things. Now, I think it's like, it's that number. It's that weird, there's all these pressures. It's the numbers, it's the this, it's the that. And that's why, again, to like go all the way back is I love that you have a product for both sperm, or for men and for women. You know what I mean? Because I think it's just not such a linear thing. I will say it's been interesting for me recently talking to more like older women who had fertility issues. And when I say older, I'm actually talking about women in their 80s and 70s, like friends of my mom's who like, I didn't, you know what I mean? I had like adopted cousins and friends and like, we never really talked about it. And like, it's been really wonderful. Obviously, we're in a different situation than they are, given that we're in a lesbian relationship. You know what I mean? So they're like, how does it work? I mean, the stupid questions that I get at, like, I should do that thing, like, on Jimmy Kimmel, where people read like fucked up tweets.
Yeah.
I should just read like the dumbest questions people ask me. I'm like, you guys, it's like not that complicated. Like, it's really not. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, in fact, like, just whatever. But, all of that information, like, talk about a void of information that these women were getting in the 80s. Whoa. Or the 70s. It's like, oh my God. Like, no. Because I said, did your husbands ever get tested? No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And they were a lot older in both. Or actually, there were three different women I spoke to, and in two of them, their husbands were much older.
1 in 4 couples that go through assisted reproductive technology, the men are not even tested. Imagine going through that expense and the stress of it. And like, maybe your husband just needs some antioxidants to improve their sperm. And like, you could have avoided the whole thing. And then also research shows that 1 out of 5 couples that conceive through IVF actually get pregnant naturally after for baby number 2. So that to me is just like, a lot of people are rushing too quickly to IVF. And, obviously in your case, like this is like a miracle that we have this technology because it allows so many amazing, beautiful couples to have babies that probably like obviously like naturally wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
But we're also here to say that like, yeah, it takes two. Your man is part of the equation. And there's so much that you could do before going down this route.
Yeah. I know it's been an interesting journey. And it's like really, I think the more we all share information and talk about, that's really why I wanted to do the special series, because I would be listening to some of these like mother parent podcasts and I'm like, oh my God. Like, first of all, are these the people that I'm going to have to be forced to be friends with if I have a kid and our kids go to school together? Because I'm going to go play in traffic. There's no way. Like, well, it's just like, oh my God. But also I feel like people are almost competitively strained. It's like, they don't want to talk about the failures or they don't want to talk about how hard it is. It's like, I thought we were good to go. And then we found out that our donor hadn't been tested for something I'm a carrier of. And it was real shit, like infant death, like bad. I know. I was like, damn, okay. But he was a carrier for something I'm not. And like learning about that whole situation. And, you know, a lot of people, obviously they conceive naturally. They don't do previous genetics testing. That's fine. It's different in our case because we're like, we have the opportunity to do it and we did it. It's also really interesting to learn about your genetics in that way. I actually would implore anyone, regardless, just to know, like my mom, who, if you do listen to this podcast often, you know, she's not exactly like a wealth of honest information, decided to just not tell me that she has this blood issue that I have too, where she literally has to now go get her like blood drained. And like, it's crazy. I don't even know what it is. I'm sure I'm going to have to do that at one point. But I was mentioning to her like, oh, I got my genetics testing. And like one of them is like hearing issues, which by the way, my father is borderline, like a lot of people have they're not deaf, but they have like some like early onset hearing issues. I said, God, and then this like blood thing popped up. She's like, oh, forgot to tell you. Yeah, my doctor said I should probably say something to you guys. I'm like, the fuck are you wrong with you? And you're not getting that information from like a 23andMe. You're not like, you actually really need to go get a panel.
Yep.
If you do have a cool doctor, like you mentioned earlier, that can advocate for you, a lot of times that you can get a prescription for it. I did, my insurance covered it, but it was just really interesting to have that information. So like, then he had to go get retested to make sure, which was great. And he was wonderful and he went and got retested. But then that like pushed me back a month. Then I just had my new doctor, who's wonderful, did really extensive testing on me. I'm like off the charts on prolactin, which we were talking about before we recorded, which apparently like, I guess is like the hormone that has you lactate. I don't know. I have very sensitive nipples. The insane thing that it said to me in the lab work request was no nipple stimulation for 7 days before I get my blood taken.
Oh my God.
First of all, what? Like that is not, usually it's like, please fast for 12 to 14. Not don't like rub your nipples. Did you die? That's real. I can show it to you.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
In the world are we talking about? Like no nipple stimulation? It's not like I'm like sitting here like, what? Anyway, but now that's pushing me back another. It's like all of that shit we don't talk about. And it just like keeps pushing, you know, it's a weird thing. It's like timing's really important. I was supposed to go to Thailand with all these gays and have a great time, go to a rave. Can't do that now. Gotta wait. I think my raving days are over.
But look at it as like more time to prep your body.
Well, right now I'm sitting here with you guys. I'm like, oh boy, what's in that kitchen? The skincare is going to be tough. I love to just put acid on my skin. That makes you want to die, I bet, just listening to me say that. It's so good, though. That IS Clinical, that serum just,
oh my God,
really, really
There's
gets you.
such great brands now that are like clean.
True Botanicals is great.
We love like Ilia. We love
Eau de Sate is
yes.
great.
Oh,
They
yeah.
actually shout out. They just sent me a whole amazing package. That blue cream is like incredible. I know.
So good.
I love them.
So good.
I know.
Also, like I think there's a craving to be perfect in this world. And like, if I had one inorganic meal or if I like 80-20, I think a lot of our medical board and nutritionists, we talk a lot about like slowly replacing them. As you run out, get something new, enjoy your weekend. If something also brings you joy, that's okay. Like that overpowers some of the negative, you know, like, so
Yeah.
being kind to yourself during this time when it's very easy to like see the number game and get freaked out by everything, but like actually bringing joy back to your partner and like, this is where I'm going to force you to do the journal. Like, just like
I'll do the
try
journal.
to also makes you do one loving thought for yourself, which I know is hard on some days, like the days that you had.
Yeah.
You want to like kill someone.
Yeah. It's
But
true.
there are small things. And if like that glass of wine once in a while brings you joy, it's okay.
Yeah.
I think people need to hear that like it's not all or nothing. If I had, you know, whatever, a meal, like splurge, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Or if you need that second coffee, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I might
Yes.
have another coffee after this.